it's getting busy there.
Yeah? I hope not. I hope it doesn't get too much more crowded than this.
Can you see the chat I really did
No.
with that thing?
No. Should I try? There you are, Marge. Now you look like one of those iPhone photos.
There is a request put in to maybe do a little bit of prostrating and such.
Rude.
We could, because we're all kind of...
You're all jonesing for prostration?
If that's cool with
Yeah,
people.
yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, what am I going to do? Say no?
I'll put it into the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, generally, that's a great idea. Okay.
Thank you. You guys need it?
So, if these classes continue and people come that aren't prostrators, we can say, hey, this isn't my fault. You don't have to prostrate. So how would someone like to try and describe the feeling of wanting to prostrate? Why? Yeah. Why was it like, okay, no, this doesn't feel quite right? We didn't, like last time we didn't prostrate, we didn't dedicate at the end, right?
For me, last time I was like, this isn't that much on. There was, something that was really different, profoundly different.
Like the lack of prostrating, the lack of something.
Yeah. I think.
Anybody else want to throw anything out?
I think it's a beautiful thing to prostrate. I believe in the teachings. Teacher.
Yeah.
Grateful.
Anybody else?
I think for me, it's kind of like there's like a yearning, a feeling of yearning that comes with it, where kind of like almost like a request to help fulfill a desire towards something greater.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Anybody else? You're agreeing?
Yeah, I prostrate when I do yoga.
Yeah.
Especially like mind, speech, and heart.
Mhm.
It's a good reminder for all three.
Yeah, I'm so glad we didn't do it last time. Joyce, you want to say anything, or did you already say?
Oh, see, I just had, not prostration so much, but I had a nun friend who used to talk about how if you take refuge together, it kind of puts a protection around everything that
Mhm.
you do. Like, I kind of like that idea. It just separates it as holy, but also kind of...
It creates an environment.
An environment.
Creates a sacred environment. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful thing to set up your altar. And although you may not see anybody in the room, make 3 prostrations to your altar before you sit down. That does something, right? That you could never really tell anybody, and you could never really describe that, just the way that is for you. For me, it's a lot about gratitude, and yeah. It reminds me of this kind of funny thing that happened a while ago. This involves a friend of mine named Earl Burney, but his grandfather is also named Earl Burney, who was a famous poet who initiated a whole program at UBC, and it continues. And his program helps many poets get into the program, and there's funding, and it just continues, and they put out a lot of beautiful material. And so he was a real trailblazer, and he's revered. This Earl Burney, who was Earl Burney's grandfather, is revered. And but he's passed away. And so they begged Earl Burney, the grandson, to come and accept an award on behalf of his grandfather. And it was beautiful because we went down there, and Earl, we were joking around because I could have sent you in there. They wouldn't even have known whether it was, but that was so not important. It was like they were desperate. They were yearning to honor something. This man had, and I understood, especially when I got there, because there was a big write-up of what he had done. It's amazing what Earl Burney's grandfather has done. It's amazing, and he's affected so many people. And so they all had these shiny eyes at Earl, and they were asking all these questions about his grandpa. Are there any lost tapes, and where are they? And Earl's being real casual about like Earl would be, and they loaded him up with books that he didn't need or want. And it was just, I thought about that, and they were so satisfied that they got to do that outpouring. So that's a nice way to think of it. We need to, because if we're not living in gratitude, then what? Then what? Then we're kind of like living in the opposite, which is not really a very fun place to be. I've lived in both of those places. I must tell you, I much prefer living in gratitude. So let's, and by the way, just before we get going, this bowl is here for anybody that wants to write a question down. Maybe you brought questions you're going to throw in the bowl. If you want the question to be anonymous, or there'll be a time period at the end for questions. And yeah. So let's do a little meditation to start. Begin to feel your body resting on the ground. All the surfaces of your body if you're lying on the ground or if you're sitting on the ground, just feel the beautiful feeling of the weight of your body being held by earth, this support of earth. Take notice of how your body alignment feels. Does it feel like your shoulders are slouching? Take an in-breath so that your heart lifts and your shoulders go back slightly and your crown lifts and you have this expansiveness happening in your heart. And then as you're exhaling, you're keeping that expansion as the shoulders relax and your jaw relaxes. This is one of the most important keys to having a successful meditation practice, is noticing if you're not relaxed and doing something about it. And that there's something that's relaxing about having the shoulders nice and back and the heart lifted versus slumping over. It's like there's an energetic flow where you can be energized simply by your posture. In your mind, imagine your eyebrows and forehead very smooth, so that there's no tension, and you don't want to squeeze your ajna. You want your ajna, your third eye, to open in a relaxed way. Begin to notice the sound. Being aware of body sensations. Discarding that illusion that sound is somehow an outer thing. As if there was a line between you and the sound. Open up to the present moment by being a radically good listener. ready for anything new to happen with each new sound that you hear. if the singing bowl were training wheels. You take them off, they're off now. And do the same thing with the sound of the fan, or whatever else it is that you may be hearing. Come out of the meditation. Try to come out of the meditation without coming out of the meditation. So then you would do that slowly. First, opening the eyes, having them cast down in front of your knees or so, just taking in a little bit of the space, what you see. And then in the same way that there's the sound and the silence, there's what is seen and there's what is not seen. Gradually take in more of the room, more of your surroundings. Come back staying relaxed, and if you need to straighten out your legs or anything you may need to do, that'll be a good time. We didn't start this. We'll just forget it. Joyce is awesome. She edits them all and gets them to the SoundCloud. Start before we start. I loved using sound as an object of meditation. It's a very, very great way to integrate your meditation into your waking life. Because we live in sound. If you ever just take a notice and just stop, pay attention, we are living in an ocean of sound. And it's used in so many ways. You know? It's used in advertisement, it's used in music. It's just such a blessing to have that experience. I thought that was Christine. Because, why are we here? Like, Why do we come to these kinds of classes? What are we hoping for? As a teacher, it's an interesting little conundrum, in a way, because words, I mean, you can't really convey the inner meaning or the inner truth. It's like if you sit beside a waterfall or something, or you go somewhere beautiful, maybe it's a river, and it's a beautiful day, get the day off work, nothing to do, sunny day, you sit down, it's just the way you'd like it to be. However, for me it would be some trees around, some nice hot warm rocks that are heated by the sun, and there's lots of water moving over the stones, and you're hearing this miraculous endless supply of water that comes from who knows where. It just keeps coming, and you can be transported. There's like a truth there. There's something in that experience which, generally we don't try to figure out. We don't try to think, well, what is that babbling brook trying to say to me exactly? What is the meaning of the current? What is the meaning of this day? What do I need to learn here? How can I sharpen my pencil here? How can I get my wits sharpened here? We don't. We sit and enjoy the day. And that some part of us is fed by that. Or you go to some kind of vista, mountain vista, something like that, and then you're blown away by the expansiveness of the horizon. Probably you're not going, what does this mean exactly? It's like, in that time, there's less of the ego mind there. For a time, you're just awake, possibly, and enjoying. And so, like words of holy beings, they're like that mountain vista. They're like the water. They're not. The holy being who speaks knows that the transmission is from the heart. There's a presence that goes from presence to presence, and the words are just ways to hold you. Because the words can't be true. Because if they were true, then they would always mean the same thing. The words of a teacher will change how you relate to them and what they mean to you. will mean something different a year later, and then 2 years later. So how do you convey something like that? How do you convey and live? How do you be in the world and do what you need to do? Because we do need to do, don't we? We do need to do. We have these things, right? You know, and other people have these things that depend on us. And all the things that we do can be done from a space like that, or not. And it's just a small incremental shift in mindfulness. I know you all know what I'm talking about. It can be like one little shift, and then everything's completely different. And all it is something shift in your mind, and then one other little shift, and nothing's any good. Unpleasable. I want another shift, and then you're completely not unpleasable. You're just pleased. And if you think about it, like, okay, I teach Buddhism, but I also teach other stuff. Trying to develop a way that we can all live outside of our small-minded mind, the ego mind. And you could think, okay, a Buddha, a Jesus, a Buddha can be that, but a Buddhist can't. You see? A Buddha can live awake, aware, present, beyond the mind. Still be aware, still have an experience of a certain kind of self. And they say, oh, the enlightened being lives outside space and time, lives outside time. The mind, the ego mind, is synonymous with time. That's the same thing. They're the same thing. If you're a Buddhist, that's ego mind. I'm a Buddhist. But you can't just choose to not be a Buddhist. It has to, you can use that Buddhist path. You can say, okay, and on the way, you start to realize that, wait a second, this is one of a million ways. I just happen to like this way. And then it all has to fall off. It all has to fall away. It's like, if you're a Buddhist, you can't be a Buddhist forever. Or you'll stop at a certain point. You just won't be able to make it because you will relate to yourself as a Buddhist. So as we go through our life, as we go through each day, there's like two realities going on all the time. There's one reality that is impermanent. that's going to be snuffed out the moment that your body stops working. And all your worldly efforts, everything that you've put in to worldly success, done. Anything that you put into your otherworldly success, the success of your enlightenment, when your body dies, but all the worldly efforts just get snuffed out. Just like it never was. Like it never was. If you don't meditate on a daily basis, even if it's 10 minutes, nobody can tell me they don't have 10 minutes a day to meditate. Nobody can tell me that and it be true. That's just ridiculous. If you can't figure out a way to meditate 10 minutes a day, then what you're doing is you're telling yourself that you've decided to try to make the world work out for you. You've decided that the world's going to work out. I'll put my time into this thing that's going to be snuffed out. You know? Because those 10 minutes a day are going to be a powerful 10 minutes a day. They're going to lead to 11 and 12 and 15 and 20 and 30. Those of you who have tried it know that it becomes you begin to crave that. The body and mind begins to recognize, okay, this is my way out of misery. Because misery doesn't have anything to do with what's happening around you. You all know that. You all know that. It's just so hard to believe sometimes. It's just so hard to believe sometimes. And it is hard to believe sometimes. I mean, you just get a storm, a continuous storm sometimes, and it just seems like I'm never going to get free of this. So think of meditating like that. Think of meditating like trying to steer your evolution. Steer your spirituality. Instead of, manipulating your worldality. Because anybody can do that. Everyone's doing that. Lots of people are succeeding and failing at it. But they always fail at the end. If that's what they've been trying to do, they just, happen to have a lot of stuff. And everyone has their own version. Like, there's right close to my house, there's a merge where you exit off Boundary and you get onto the freeway. Maybe some of you have driven by, and there's just somebody's got some stuff there. You notice that?
Yeah.
They must live there. I don't know if there's one guy, one girl. I don't know if it's a village, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that, one day I just want to stop or at least just look. And one time I saw a man there, and they were like this, hunched over, because they couldn't stand up, I guess, or something. They were like this, and I just caught a glimpse. But they've got all kinds, like shopping carts, and looks like old TVs and tarps, and I don't know, just tons of stuff. That's no different. Everyone has their own way of doing that. You know, it's no different from a multi-billionaire with, I worked for a guy that had a garage for his yacht. He just, I saw the yacht pull in and this big, with the sails up, the door went up and he just pulled in. I mean, that's no different than that guy underneath the rich. Maybe. I don't know either one of those people. That could be, that could be Jesus underneath there. I don't know. Could be Buddha living with a yacht. I don't know, because it's not the stuff itself. It's how you relate to it. It's how you relate to it. So let's take a little break. Stand up.
Oh, you're not.
You're right.
We're not in control in the moment. Oh, my ankle was so asleep.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that it wouldn't support my weight. Don't worry, it'll come back. I did that one other time. When who was it? Alexander was teaching. He was teaching, and I stood up, and my leg it wouldn't support. Yeah.
That's happened to me.
That's such a funny sensation, though. Huh?
Yeah. Where you just there's just no support. There's no worth.
Sorry. Yeah. It's not there. Well, it's just not there. Oh, did I tear this out?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Did you do anything?
No, I just kind of took it as an opportunity to just get into jump on the wagon after working and stuff.
Yeah.
I did, yeah. I had yesterday off, so
Good.
but yeah, got back to the gym.
Check and see if the microwave, if it's open in that room,
Get back
otherwise,
to that every day.
you know where the washrooms are?
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes we just pretty tough to keep that up all of the trip.
Yeah. Oh, I was there too. I mean,
I mean, I'm gonna
just
give,
a little bit,
we're
but
giving
I think
Tom.
the 2 weeks I was there, maybe I
But I'm just
did
thinking
3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Well, that was about it.
That's something. Most people wouldn't at all.
Things that I can just, I don't know, I'm trying to think about it, like we
Yeah,
watch
it's, we do crave it. I'm so happy to be at this invitation series.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's nice to see you. Different than these, yeah.
Well, it's crazy how just a couple of days
So much packing.
makes such a big difference in
Yeah.
just meditating. Because this weekend I didn't do anything with Thanksgiving, so I just had the entire weekend to myself. So I just kind of spent a lot of time doing that. And, like at work today, the first half of work. I mean, later on, kind of got back to normal, but at least the first half, it was just everything was just water over stone, and it's serene. All my interaction with everybody and everybody's responses.
It's huge. When I started back to work last week after having my 4 months off, right? My mom died and all this stuff.
Thank you, and then I can
And I
reimburse you.
went back to work and so I felt that, that whole time I was going through all that grief and this chaos and dealing with, the personal stuff and then I went back to work. And it was a fever test, but I had an assisted for it yet. The place was renovated. They took,
Actually, I have it here.
tore the
So I was
floors
gonna
out,
give it to the
decided
Duncan
to do the
Recycling.
floors halfway through the reno. So everything that was in the laboratories was packed away. We had all new digital software and all this stuff, and I was like,
Oh, completely
whoa.
different.
And then I started yoga teacher training because,
Oh, you
you know
started?
what, I did second. And
She just graduated.
everything just went into practice, and it was just like, and the rest of this
That's so
week,
funny.
it's the same. It's just like, no, you don't go there, it's not them.
It is, but
They're
this is really awesome to have.
coming from them.
That's awesome, right?
And it was just like night and day in how that whole, you know, in just your
We have, some people,
surrendering and letting go. Yeah,
we have some people that.
and the I don't know, and the meditation. I mean,
Oh, yeah, she did the
yeah,
high school.
times
Don't
it's
even
tough.
wanna come to
It's tough most of the time, but it's.
She did high school here in Vancouver.
kind of
I'm
high.
happy with the
Yeah.
breath, like it.
And then
You know,
some, and not. Some
we
people
did
can
one of
share
Doug's
their
first
goals
retreat I went to. I got to that place where you could feel
So it can.
the breath on your nostrils and on your upper lip.
All
And
the
it's like,
time.
wow. Right. And then, so, you know, I haven't had that for a long time, but it's just,
No.
I don't even know what I'm supposed to get, but
Yeah, you don't.
I'm just sitting.
You're never gonna know what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
No.
People come one time.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just like,
Right.
oh,
Yeah.
It's
I'm
not
there,
about
is that-
that. Doing that, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Just keep going there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you knew what you're supposed to get, then you wouldn't be working door to door.
Papa?
Oh, sure.
Where's your keyboard?
Okay, that's fine. I just want to know.
Good, thanks, Tristan.
I always come to this place of like, which is a good thing. It might sound the way I describe it, it might sound like it's bad, but almost like melancholy, but like in a bittersweet sort of sense rather than a.
Yeah.
So it's not in a bad way. Like I like that.
Yeah.
But that comes from like
one of the ones I'm overseeing, but we are.
the whole concept of like renunciation and detachment and all that. And it's not good from a place of like craving or anything like that. It's from a place of like how precious,
Like a sweetness?
like, yeah, it's like, you know, how like everything that you're experiencing is so precious because like you said, there's going to be stumped out or whatever. So I tend to come to this place sometimes if I like meditated a lot, or like if I, you know, look at a video talking about the life of Buddha and like all the way to his like death and like all the things that he would say, like, you know, when he was close to his death, which were like just the most beautiful things ever about, you know, whatever realizations he's reached and stuff. But because he was close to his death, it kind of, it adds that feeling,
Yeah.
which it's like it's a sense of like freedom mixed with like sadness.
Mhm. Yeah.
But in a good way. So you know, I don't know how to explain it without using the negative words. But yeah,
A sweet melancholy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I don't know if that's like if that will change over time for me. But I don't know.
Yours why is that? I mean, some of them
Really like beautiful violin music or something. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same way,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I went and saw Guru one.
How was that? No.
It's really good.
Yeah, he's really cool.
It's really good.
You say
Yeah.
Sadhguru?
Sadhguru.
Oh, that, yeah.
Yeah. He on Thursday night.
He was here in Vancouver?
He was here at the Key.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. And he did a meditation, and one lady in the crowd, like, she was like, it was really weird. She started making noise, and some Amanda goes, that's just when they get really deep or something. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I was like, look, why is that person? Anyway, it was, I mean, the philosophy is
troop stuff is hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it was good.
Awesome.
Yeah. I understand. It's late.
Watching TV or
Girl Guides. They call them Girl Scouts in the States. I don't know if that's a West or something.
And then the States were Girl Scouts?
Girl Scouts,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, they separate them. Here, it's now Scouts Canada, that's it.
Oh, really?
I believe.
Oh, okay.
is this like cookie season or something? Because like,
You
It is?
actually, in fact.
Yeah.
because they're all over.
Isn't it once a year?
Not cookies.
Once a year they come around?
Twice.
Twice a year, it was twice a year they come
They
around.
have two different cookies.
Yeah, they do, the
They have
wafer,
them.
the
Yeah.
Oreo style, and then these ones, right?
You only have two kinds of Girl Guide cookies? Oh my goodness.
There used to be just the
They're like-
chocolate ones and
Used
the
to be just
vanilla
the-
ones, but
yeah.
now there's these, are those mint ones?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like peppermint.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This
Okay.
is like one of 10 different varieties that the Girl Scouts offer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's the best stuff. Works out.
I was in Boy Scouts when I was a kid, and the Scoutmaster, we went out on a winter camping thing, and the poor Scoutmaster, he didn't have just couldn't get the fire going.
No.
He was supposed to teach us how to,
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Somebody else have to do it?
Yeah, me and my friend. Well, because me and my buddy were always running off into the woods and like building like little bivouacs with. So we just like took over. Yeah. Yeah, but you don't. Maybe he knew how.
Maybe intentionally.
Maybe he just totally knew how. Yeah. That's what Buddhists do. They're Scoutmasters that can't do anything. So let's do a short meditation, and then we'll do a little bit of just question and answer. So you probably noticed you have the benefit of just simply being able to close your eyes if you are meditating with your eyes closed, and tuning right back in to the last lingering feeling of the last meditation. And if you do have that experience of that zoom going back in, imagine that it could be like that for you all the time if you meditated enough. You'd always be like returning to that last feeling that you had in meditation. It would be like your refuge that you took would be the solace of your mind. Instead of looking for solace in the world, it's like you're making this place in your mind where you can live. We can use words like making that place because we like to make things. But really all you're doing is unmaking something else. Clear away the unsettled mind. You find the mind that's always been there. And a nice way to get a hint of that mind is also in this method we'll try now, involving the breath. Simply become aware of the natural cycle of your breath. It's like your mind witnessing life itself. Doing whatever you need to do to release any attempt to control the breath, allowing it to be as it is right now. Now turn your awareness to the moment that the breath shifts from the exhale to the inhale, from the inhale to the exhale. You can think of it like a pendulum swinging. And as the pendulum swings, before it changes direction, there's a moment when it's completely still. In doing this type of practice, things to be aware of, cautions. Be very relaxed. You may notice that in trying to focus on the pause, that there's a shortness of breath or a slight panicky sensation as our desire to control begins to arise. And that even that moment of recognizing that tendency and then letting it go is useful. That's a useful turn of the mind. Just relax. So you're placing your mind at the pause between the breath. Like a very, very curious cat. Very focused. As this moving object comes into view, pauses, and then moves again. this can lead to very nice, spontaneous, relaxed stop of the breath. Don't panic if that happens. Just relax and stay there and keep your mind on the pause. Shifting it somewhat now. Release the focus of the pause between the inhale and exhale. Instead, remain with your focus on the pause between the exhale and the inhale. Now, as the mind focuses, as your mind focuses on this point, and the exhale finishes, try to keep your mind focused on the complete lack of movement as the inhale continues. Like getting a little glimpse of the stillness between the breath, and then you keep your focus on that stillness between the breath as the breath then continues. So you're still there when the exhale returns. You're still there when the next exhale returns. And each successive exhale returns and adds more quietness to the still point. As you keep your mind focused on the still point, this will be easier to do home alone without someone's voice pulling you away from silence. See if you can get this stillness to expand, so that it begins to infiltrate and expand inside your body. And your breath begins to expand and contract in and around and about this silence that is growing, that you're focusing on. Allow it to expand in pools. Like a flower slowly opening. Now we'll slowly return to the room. Try and keep your focus on that pool of silence, of stillness, as you slowly begin to come back and take in the room. Well, we have just, the clock's a little bit fast, we've got 15 minutes. Does anyone have a question that they'd like to ask or that they've written down? There's nothing in the bowl yet. You don't have to have anything to ask. We can just, sit and hang out.
I actually have a question about the bowl.
Oh, yeah.
I do have a small bowl, Tibetan bowl that I got from San Francisco. And I have used it in 2 different ways, like 3 times for meditation, or the singing. I guess my question is more of the singing. Do you just let it sound and then let it stop where it stops?
There's a few things that you can do with it. When you're using it, or when you're ringing it, when you're getting it to sing, you can be with the fullness of the sound, and then you can also be with the absence of the sound. So what's nice is you can get it ringing, and as you're relaxed and it's starting to hum and it's getting louder and louder, like focusing on the sound, like bringing all your awareness to the sound, so that you're fine-tuning in on the sound and you're using that sound as a way to focus. And then at some point, let it stop, and then try to keenly notice the very, very moment the sound goes out of existence. That's one of the things that they're nice for. And that can be a little gateway. It has a way of taking the mind into a certain spot as you really try to locate the exact moment that the sound is no longer there. The other thing that you can do is what we were doing. Just absorb the sound and feel the body sensations, and notice labels that you have in your mind about what's happening. You know, and try to let go of those kinds of labels and go more with the experience and the feeling.
Yeah, because when it went really loudly, I felt like I was gonna dance.
Yeah.
It was like this wave. I felt like my hands were gonna go like this.
Yeah, beautiful, right?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and that's a great way to, it's a physical thing, you know, and I think it's a great way to blow illusion. I think it's one of the great ways to blow the illusion of separation. It's like in the same way, even though you and I, we're separate beings. We have to be separate beings. You know, if we weren't separate beings, then you would know my thought, I would know your thought. You know, if I twisted my ankle,
Would have felt it.
you would have felt it. You know, like there's, you know, and yet, if we sat across from each other, which we are now, you know, how could we ever point to the place where you start and I end, and you know, like what's the boundary? And that is either comfortable or uncomfortable, living in a, you know, boundaryless existence. And of course, functional boundaries, but at the same time, sound, I think, can be a great way to explore that illusion of the separation. I mean, because all competition in the world is from that. All the red lines on the atlas, you know, are all from that belief that somehow there's a line. And we have to believe in that line for that line to function. And each person is going to have a different idea of what that line means. Yeah. Yeah, good. Yeah. Anybody else want to ask anything? Say anything? Offer anything?
I was gonna say it's like traffic lights. Like aliens would be like, what strange creatures? They all stop and just like the red light.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah. Yeah, traffic is a wild place to be. Yeah. Then you got your commuters, right? Like Joyce is on the bus all the time. Yeah, and that's I don't know anybody, probably, who else takes the bus around here? Yeah.
Transit,
right? Transit, like this.
Train.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's much more relaxing than driving.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah. But you know, if you want to like a pick-me-up, you know, better than coffee, then you just notice people. And in your mind, just notice them. And you know, you can have a little mantra that you use. One of my favorite ones is, I love you. May you always be happy and never suffer. You know, how long can you keep that up? You know, it's like if you do that long enough, you won't be able to handle it. You'd be like it's like, oh, it's too much. It's too much happiness. You know, you'd be crawling out of your skin. It's like, yeah. I like doing that I especially like doing that if I'm waiting at a red light and people are turning left and I'm going zoom, zoom, zoom. I like doing that. It's like each person that goes by. You know, it's a great way to spend a red light. You know? Just try it.
So the have out there? Like, how do they, I don't know what I'm trying to ask. Like, how do they, where do they get to? Like, and I've seen a movie where this guy went to go stay at a retreat with a teacher, and he just got into meditation so deeply that he couldn't come. That's all he ever wanted to do. So what is that? Like, what happens there? And yeah, like, I mean, it's nirvana, I guess.
Maybe.
What is that? Maybe. Like, what is
Maybe.
it? What is it?
Can't say that it is.
What happens?
You can't say that it isn't.
Yeah.
You know, each individual would have a different experience of that. There's a reality that you can reach that is not nirvana, that is very much, someone might think that it's nirvana, which is basically a deep trance-like meditation where you just, everything's on pause. And you can go into those states for very long periods of time and come out suffering. And you know, and in the time period that you're in that state, mental afflictions have stopped because you're not interacting with anything that inflames the affliction. That's why, you know, you'll often hear it said, like some of these masters and yogis say, you know, if you really want to try something, go try living in the city. You know, not that meditating in an isolated space is easy, because, you know, it's you against your mind. But ideally, I shouldn't say ideally, but, you know, one good way to go would be like you go into isolation, you meet your mind, duke it out with your mind for a minute, you recognize that the things that assail you have always been you, and you get, okay, and then you go back into the world and see if you can maintain that truth amongst all the people who now appear to be your assailants. Right? That's the practice then. And you go, oh, got to go back into the cave for a second, because I'm still believing that these people are all my assailants, or the cause of my happiness. Either one, because when you go in isolation long enough, you're going to see, hopefully, that you're your own happiness and your own unhappiness, and there is no power in the world that can change that. You know, so someone can go into like a 3-year situation or a 1-month situation and have very deep and great meditations, and almost, you could almost say, if they end up craving that, then they've missed something. If they end up just craving to meditate, something is not quite done. They're not quite done. Because really, what are you going to do? Does enlightenment mean you spend the rest of your days like this?
There's some escapism almost.
Yeah, right? So there's a balance there where you make that escape useful, right? Because all this, what we're doing now, is just a way to get beyond that. You don't want to have to meditate every single day of your life. It's more like you enter into meditation, or meditation happens to you, but you concentrate so much, meditation happens to you, and you become like a meditation, and you walk in the world like a meditation, but you're relaxed, and you're aware, and you're awake. And because of our habit of continuously replanting the seed over and over again that, oh, the world is my assailant, or the world is the thing that will make me happy, replanting that and replanting that, it slows the whole process down of breaking free of it. But if you can really get that, you know, I am happening to the world, it's not happening to me, I'm happening to the world. If you can really get that, then that cycle begins to break down. and it begins to stop. And then nirvana begins to arise in your mind just by you living. Because each and every interaction that you're having is absent of that turn of the mind, which creates unhappiness, which is the world is my assailant. Once you fit, that's all you need to do. You see, that's the thing. That all meditation is just to see that, even just for a short period of time. And then it has to crumble. It has to crumble because you no longer believe in it. And then, there you are. You're like, that's a yogi. Awake. Here. Now. Because there isn't any other place. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Marge? All right. We survived another one. Maybe one time we won't survive. Let's do a dedication. So close your eyes. In your mind, see a light that is glowing at your heart center. In your mind, see that as the seed that was planted tonight. And see it like a seed in fertile soil. And it's like a magic bean. It's just flourishing, this seed from tonight, and it's filling your body. It expands out from your heart, fills your body to the point of spilling over, expanding, and then bursting out of you. And on each laser beam of light that's bursting from you is a wish from you, which is, by the goodness of what I have just done here, may every living being achieve perfect happiness, free of all suffering. May it be so. And then you allow the light to withdraw back into your heart, where it settles there warmly. And we'll do some prostrations. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And thank you to Joyce, who's been putting these up on SoundCloud. She puts the whole class up, and she also separates meditations.
Thanks.
Very, very cool.
Thanks, Joyce.
So Joyce, you tossed this at me.
Isn't there a couple of things when you meant that? Oh.